welcome to the December Constructive Rest. And you're all, very welcome to join us. It's about half an hour. And we're going to take that half an hour to reset ourselves, because this time of year, although the environment, the natural world is finding its peace and its stillness and drawing inwards, it's not quite like that out there, is it? There's a lot of chaos and rushing around, and often frantic purchasing of gifts and food and all of that this time of year seems to bring. So it's really good to just come back to ourselves. So if you're new to constructive rest, what you're going to do, I'm going to stay in the chair, but what you're going to do is find a piece of the floor that you can lie on, preferably with some padding under it, a folded blanket, a yoga mat, a nice rug, even a carpet, just with a good amount of underlay is absolutely fine. It's great. And you're going to lie on your back with your knees bent and your feet on the ground. And under your head, you want a little bit of support. Traditionally, we use paperback books. And the idea of the support under the head is so that your head doesn't feel like it's falling back behind you, so you don't feel the sort of strain or uncomfortableness through the neck. So I'm going to just give a minute for everyone to find their way into their constructive rest, semi-supine position. And if you're already lying on the floor, you can start to bring yourself into your environment. Be with yourself now, just still and quiet. And do your very best to let some of this day go. Whatever's gone on today, take a moment to move it to one side. And if things are very important and pressing on your mind, you can make a bit of a bargain and say, I'll come back to that. I've got half an hour and I'm going to take this half an hour for myself. And everything else can wait for half an hour. And this is a really good thing to do this time of year, because we can be so driven by goals and expectations, our own expectations and expectations of others. So let's give ourselves a break, a half an hour break. So if you're not comfortable on the floor, you're welcome to sit in a chair and think about your constructive rest, because this is a thinking technique. And the first thing we're going to do is think about our body, just the whole of it, from the crown of your head, say hello to that, the crown of your head, to the toes at the end of your feet. Because this is you, that's the boundary of you, the top and the bottom. And it's a good idea to know where we are, where we finish and where other people begin. It's a good thing to know. It's a sort of safety. It's a protective thing, really. Energetically, physically, where are you right now? Can you bring your awareness to the left-hand side of your body, the left leg and the left hip, and up through the left-hand side of your torso to your left shoulder? Perhaps even become aware of the back of your left ear and asking for some of the muscles to let go there, as if you're relaxing into ease on the left-hand side. And then become aware of the right-hand side of your body, your right leg and your right hip, and your right side of your torso, the waist and the ribs. Maybe even thinking about your right shoulder and your right-hand side of the neck and up into the right ear, perhaps letting the muscles at the back of the right ear go, easing into your awareness of yourself. You might then like to connect those two sides of you up and say, oh yeah, so the right side and the left side, they are connected. I am a whole person. And in fact, thinking about your entire rectangular back being a sort of rectangular sheet of connective tissue. the left side and the right side, but really it's a whole rectangular sheet of connective tissue. It's got elasticity to it. And if you were to just let it all rest and do nothing, that back of you would relax into width and length, sort of like an unraveling and unfurling and easing back into your length and width, taking the space that you are. And you're not big, you're not huge, you are just a human shape. So take that space, really let that left shoulder rest out towards the left, really let the right shoulder rest out towards the right. Be aware of your elbows and where they are on the outsides of you. If you've had a busy day doing things, you know, like typing or digging or, I don't know, things I do in my day, anything very arm oriented, take a moment to ask the arms to switch off now. Specifically, the tops of your arms. For example, if you are wearing a t-shirt, the sleeve of the t-shirt, if you can picture that on the left and the right, asking for the tops of your arms there to release, to soften, to let go. Switching things off, calming things down. Let the weight of the arms drop through into your elbows. And the elbows aren't going to go anywhere. They've got a nice supportive floor beneath them. But you can still ask for something a little bit to let go in the elbows. And as we let the elbows drop down and back and away, we'll notice the effect that has perhaps on the rib cage, on the back of you, the sides of you, the front of you. That cylindrical rib cage. How's that doing? Can you bring some awareness to the lower back ribs? They're slightly below or roughly in line with where your elbows are. Bring some thought to the lower back ribs and tell them that they don't need to do anything much. They'll be moving as you're breathing. So let them. Just let them. Expanding and releasing with each of your in-breath and out-breath. Easy in the ribs. Between those lower back ribs and the upper back rim of the pelvis, there's sheets of muscle and connective tissue. And all of that sheets of muscle and connective tissue can get itself tied up in knots. It can tighten and it can grip. And so you're going to think about the space between your lower back ribs and the upper back rim of your pelvis. And ask for that space to be nice and easy, a sort of widening across the lower back, as if the lower back was spreading out. Let the pelvis have its weight. It's really heavy. It's there to counterbalance the heaviness of your head. Let the pelvis rest. And to do that, you'll need to undo a little bit in the tops of the thighs. If you've been driving, if you've been driving home for Christmas, like the song says, if you've been driving or sitting a lot today, the likelihood of the tops of your thighs being a little bit more switched on than they need to be is quite high. I like to think of an imaginary pair of garters very high up, right up at the top of the thigh, near the hip, and loosening off those garters so there's still an appropriate amount of tone around the tops of your thighs, but they're not gripping, they're not tightening, they're not hanging on. And as we let go and ease off a bit at the tops of the thighs, it means that the pelvis doesn't have to hang on anymore. You might find there's a bit of ease through the belly, softening the belly. Remind that lower back to widen again. And undoing the tops of the thighs allows the heads of your thigh bones to drop back and rest in the hip sockets. Also a lovely thing to do, especially if you've done a lot of walking or running. letting the heads of the thigh bones just drop back into the hip sockets. So your knees are probably quite parallel at this point, and if that suits your body, then that's lovely. If you're finding that you can't really let go much through the thighs, it may be that there isn't enough coordination quite yet through the lower back and the pelvis. And leaning your knees on each other, resting the left knee on the right knee, might be just what your body needs so that you can do less. Do less at the backs of your knees, ungripping whatever's going on at the backs of your knees, and then imagining that you've got a very wide paintbrush, and there's a wide paintbrush sweeping its way down through the backs of your thighs, broadening and lengthening through the backs of the thighs. Be easy round the knees. Don't grip or tighten. And let the kneecaps just rest on top of the knee joints. Know where your kneecaps are and let the bones of the lower legs fall away, as if there was a lengthening through the lower legs, down through the calves, through the shins, an ease through the ankle joints, and a resting through your feet, so that the toes can lengthen out in their own way, feeling a sense of widening through the fronts of your feet. And then gently come back to your breathing, to your easy ribs, your soft belly, that sense of broadening through the back of you. And breathe. No clever breathing required. Just some nice, easy breathing. Nice, easy breathing as you return to the awareness at the top of your spine. Somewhere up by your ears, find those backs of ears again and ask for a broadening across the base of the skull, from your left ear to your right ear, like a lovely smile, smiling your way into ease across the back of your head. That all helps to undo that top nodding joint where we can get so tight and so gripped and so full of tension. If your eyes are closed, I'd like you to open them. And if your eyes are open, I'd like you to close them, just briefly for a moment. And then return them to how they were, or wherever feels comfortable for you right now. Between your eyes, let that furrowed brow soften and relax. You don't need to worry about anything right now. That can all come later. Even see if you can soften and release and let go around the cheekbones, in the face, in the jaw, and especially in the tongue. Let your tongue rest in your mouth, wherever it sits, wherever it fits comfortably. Let it be soft and not hard, but easy. Easy in the jaw, soft in the tongue. Notice your neck again. Perhaps it's tricky to notice what's going on in the neck. It's something that I think I took a while to get to grips with. But we're here to do some thinking, and it's the thinking that makes the difference. You don't have to feel, you don't have to know what's going on. You can just say, well, it's probably a bit tight. So I'll ask for the back of the neck to soften into length. And I'll ask for a softness from under my chin down through the front of the neck to my collarbones. I'll ask for an ease down the left-hand side of the neck, from that ear all the way down through to the shoulder. I'll ask for some ears from the right-hand side, underneath the right ear, down through the right-hand side of the neck and into the shoulder. Freeing the neck to really let the weight of your head rest back on those soft books or whatever support you've chosen. Give up the weight of that head to the ground. Let the ground support you. That's what it's there for. Let the weight of your shoulder girdle and the tops of your arms rest back into the floor. The shoulder blades easing away from your upper back ribs. Ungrip your armpits and let your elbows rest. If your hands are by your sides, I'd like you to just lay them gently somewhere on your body, on your belly or up on your ribs, wherever's comfortable, or even right up with your fingertips on your collarbones, whatever suits you. So they're folded in, and you can feel the palm side of your hands in contact with you. And use that awareness, use that proprioception and that awareness of the palm sides of the hands resting into your body to relax through the backs of your hands and through the wrists and the forearms. As your hands are resting on your body, you're going to imagine and ask that the elbows fall away from your resting hands, dropping down and back and into the ground, as if there was a lengthening now through the forearms. Fingertips and hands resting, elbows dropping away. And of course, nothing's going anywhere. You've got the ground underneath your elbows and your hands are on your body. We're talking about a sort of unraveling of your musculature, a gentle lengthening, a relaxing into length through the forearms. And then as you let the elbows rest, allow that lengthening to travel through your upper arms and in towards your shoulders. Connecting your arms back and into your back. Connecting your elbows into your collarbones and your shoulder blades. And as you find some ease in your arms and perhaps let go in the armpits again, notice your breathing. Nothing fancy required here, just a nice steady in-breath and out-breath. The rib cage, cylindrical rib cage around you, expanding to the back of you, the sides of you and the front of you. The lower back ribs, the top front ribs, all of them with their own little bit of movement as that air travels in and out. Bring your awareness down through to the base of your spine, where you might think of the small of your back, that lumbosacral junction. See if you can unlock something there. See if you can stop hanging on through the base of the spine, the back of the pelvis. Allow a freedom, as if there's a availability for movement, an availability for energy to travel through the spine, for blood to move around your pelvis, for ease. Bring your awareness back up to the top of your spine, right up in your skull, somewhere between your earlobes is the top of your spine. It's a nodding joint, and I'll have spoken about it lots. in the past. Without nodding your head, just know that you could, if you wanted to, nod in a yes kind of way. Or in a no kind of way. There's freedom at the top of your spine. Allow it to be there. In conjunction with that freedom at the base of the spine, in that lumbosacral junction. And let that spine lengthen. Not because you're doing anything, not because you're pushing it or having any muscular activity, but because actually you've given up hanging on the left-hand side of your spine and on the right-hand side of your spine. And now it can just lengthen as it rests. Become aware again of the crown of your head. Maybe even just knowing where the space beyond the crown of your head is. Become aware of your toes again, those feet on the ground. Maybe even just beyond the toes. Know that's you. That's the top of you and the bottom of you. Become aware of your left elbow resting on the ground and know that that's the furthest point to the left of you. Become aware of the right elbow on the ground and know that that's the furthest point to the right of you. Know where you end and the rest of the world begins. The back of you resting on the floor and the front of you facing the ceiling. Allow this wonderful body, no matter what condition it's in, to be the home of you, the wonderful spirit. Just be there for a moment within yourself. Perhaps say something kind to yourself. Maybe be grateful for yourself. Even if it's just being grateful that you showed up tonight and you got on the floor and you spent some time in kindness, being loving to you. So you've been lying there for quite some time. And so your body's going to need to know that you're moving in a moment. You might want to start rocking your knees from side to side very gently. You may even want to let that head roll a little to the left and a little to the right, starting to wake up and become aware of the top half of the body. Or for you, it might be the arms that want to stiffen, and so perhaps a little movement through the shoulders, or a stretching up of the arms in towards the ceiling. Nobody knows your body better than you do. And building your relationship with it is really key to finding ease within it. Give it a heads up that in a moment you're going to roll on your side. And you're going to roll on your side and you're going to pause and give it a chance to catch up with itself. And then eventually, if everything feels okay, you'll come up to sitting and probably get on with the rest of your evening. Take it easy and be slow and be mindful. And if you just want to stay there lying on the floor and semi-supine or on your side, do feel free. I mean, I'm not going to force anyone to sit up.